you start to go through Kingston Brown's life. You see, in the late 60s, early 70s, a young boy running through the streets of Harlem, surrounded by family and community.
Oh, look at you.
Lou, you see passing images of things. Lou, I'm gonna throw a curveball at you right here, and I'm gonna ask you to play Kingston Brown throughout the ages.
You got it.
You see Kingston Brown as a 6-year-old, watching as a young girl on this playground outside of a public school is crying over in a corner with a skinned knee, having been pushed down by some of the other boys here on the playground. What does young 7, 8-year-old Kingston do?
Excuse me?
Yeah?
Do you need a Band-Aid?
They wouldn't let me play the game with them.
Hey, that's fine. Kids can be mean, but we can get that patched up, and then we can play.
You see, the scene shifts to Kingston, Kingston giving up his own recess to walk this little girl to the nurse's office and showing up there and being there with her while she gets a Band-Aid on her knee. We cut over to Kingston in his sort of teenage years, a little bit younger. You see that Kingston, this is a time in your life where your grandmother, who's no longer with you in the present day, is very ill. And you see that there's a meeting at school where there is sort of a teacher talking and speaking to both of your parents, Winston and Victoria, and saying, Kingston is a very gifted athlete. We would be able to take him around the country. We would travel around. He would obviously not be able to be here in New York, but this is a potential for Kingston to really shine. And you see your parents kind of look at each other and look at Kingston.
I can't. Not when Grandma's sick. Maybe we can talk about it in the future, but I'm sorry, but I need to be here.
We see a Kingston in his college years speaking to an admittance counselor at a high school saying, with these scores, Kingston, if you're interested in medicine, you could be a doctor. You could be making hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. I mean, that's hyperbole, but you could be making a lot of money.
Yeah, but the problem, is there anywhere in my neighborhood where I could stay? Because I'm not really trying to be too far away. Especially because I know it's about 8 years of schooling, and that's just a long time to be so far.
But we're talking about scholarships to Cornell. We're talking about places where you could think of yourself.
That's easy to do, but there has to be a way to make this work here.
You see a Kingston around the age of 30. This whole time in your head, you hear Nod going, dreams and the waking world. You represent the force of an individual's dream, the need for a person to be themselves and shine their own light. Kingston represents the other side. He has always and forever made the choice to serve those around him. And you hear Robert going, fucking schmuck, look at this fucking idiot. Every advantage and opportunity thrown away, and for what? And you see, Kingston is 30. There's this insane dragon on Bleecker Street, this long, multi-legged dragon, handing him this subway token and saying, you will be the Vox Populi of New York City.
You had to say that again. Vox what?
You have given of yourself time and time again. And now images staggered up and up and up, just like Kingston, missing a party to help someone move. Kingston showing up at someone's doorstep with food. Kingston showing up at a rally for the neighborhood. Kingston showing up at City Hall to speak on behalf of people that can't speak for themselves, over and over and over and over and over again. And the entire city, you can hear, thanks, Kingston, thank you. Thanks, Kingston, thank you, thank you. And all of those thank yous flooding into Kingston's body. And you hear Robert in your head say, no,
Everybody's got one time they do something selfish. Everybody's got one time they make the call to enrich themselves. That's in our nature.
And you see a young Kingston Brown looking at Liz Herrera walking down the street and Nod saying, to invite her into his world would be taking all of what was destined for her and forcing her into the madness of the Unsleeping City. But you see this like bond of true love connecting the two of them. And you see Kingston's heart break and reach out, and he and Liz twirl around in memory until many years later, you see him and Liz saying, we could have a house, we could have a car, we could have kids.
I can't leave the city. I've explained this before, all right? You can go, but I have to be here.
Where am I? You could get your doctorate and we could have a good life together.
That's not a good life, not for me. My good life is here and with you, but it has to be here.
You see, she looks and says, then I think our lives shouldn't be together, and vanishes. And you see that images of possible futures. You're like at the edge of memory now, going back into dream, and you see Kingston with an ephemeral, changing, happy child in his arms, and that vanishes. And you hear Nod say, dreams in the waking world, often at odds. And Robert says,
Only a fool would give up what he wants. Look at all that idiot sacrificed, and for what? To be alone and sad.
and vanishes, and you are at the exit of the museum.